Inland Sports.
And now join us here on the Inland Sports Show. They are your Citrus Belt League champions in boys basketball for the first time in school history. We have Jim Simpson, the head boys basketball coach for the Thunderbirds. And Coach, congrats on the Citrus Belt League title. I know you still have one more to go as we record this interview against Cajon. It's kind of a big one there against the Cowboys. The undefeated CBL season, is that what you guys are gunning for right now?
Is and this is something that the boys set as a major goal and gave us something to aspire toward, and we're on track for that right now, and excited about what we have accomplished up to this point.
Well, Coach Simpson, man, there's so many things that we could talk about this year's team, and I think that the first thing I want to jump into is it's been a record-setting season for Yucaipa. You guys have won more games this season than any other previous Thunderbirds boys basketball team. So what would you say made this year's team, I don't know, special, unique, maybe different this year?
Yeah, it's a wonderful question, just to try to give some perspective. This all started for us last year in the CBL. We began the year virtually the same roster. A couple of seniors, one, Tristan Doty, who was with us for 3 years, made a significant contribution during his time here, but other seniors, limited playing time. So what I'm getting at is we really matured as a team. We started 0-3 in the CBL a year ago and won 6 out of our last 7 games. Qualified for the playoffs, got into the second round, and immediately turned around and started working toward this year with a veteran team, with only 1 or 2 exceptions. Everybody on this 13-man roster spent some time on the varsity last year. A spring league, a summer league, a fall league, and now here we are in the winter. And I like to say that the sweat equity that the boys invested in themselves is turned out to be a really good investment.
Well, Coach, going into the season, I don't know how the rest of the league looked at you guys, but do you feel like you were flying under the radar a little bit? I know Coach Florence, he's no longer coaching at Beaumont, but he had some good teams. Cajon's had some really good teams. Same can be said for Rev. Do you feel like maybe you were flying under the radar a little bit, or did you know what you had in your locker room? You're like, hey, we could be pretty special this year.
Well, until you've done it, you have to prove it. And as I mentioned, we won 4 of the 5 games in the second half against league opponents last year, and played Rev, the CBL champions, to the final play of the game. The week before, we upset Beaumont at our place in a real defensive battle. But, preseason predictions, we saw some of those and didn't have Yucaipa at the top. So certainly that drives the focus a little bit. In hindsight, that's a good thing because it makes you hungry. And I always say to the boys that winning is hard, and we have a very competitive league, good coaching at every school. And I'm just so proud that the focus, the effort, and then obviously the results have followed that this year. It's been an exciting experience.
Well, Coach, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I know this is the first CBL title for Yucaipa boys basketball. Had they won a league title, period, like in a different league anywhere else in school history?
A dominant program back in the 1960s. The legendary coach Kent Hayden led many of those. He also was the head coach in 1971, which was the last league title.
Wow.
I believe he retired shortly thereafter. But we knew, because we have a banner up in our gym, and every player in our program is fully aware that 1971 was the last time a league title was achieved by the boys. But the CBL we entered in 2004, and those records are up on Max Preps, so we can track those. And a couple of the teams that I've had since the inaugural 18-19 season here have finished in 3rd place. And there have been a couple of other Yucaipa teams that finished in 3rd place in the CBL. But this is the first time of winning a CBL league championship. You mentioned earlier, 1 game to go against a very tough Cajon team tomorrow night on senior night. Yes, we have the league title clinched, but this is a group that wants to continue to make history. And so we're looking forward to the game tomorrow.
Coach, if we can, let's do a little name dropping. We don't have to name everybody on your roster, but obviously there's some standout players for you this season. I think Malik Young went over 1,000 career points this season. Does that sound right? And
that's what he tells me.
I know the kids love the stats. They might say they don't jump on Max Preps to look, but I'm sure they do.
Yes, exactly. And I say that, just kidding here a little bit. Malik's a 3-year varsity player. He put up good stats as a junior, made the all CBL first team, and he hasn't disappointed this year. 17 points a game, 5 assists. Came with a wonderful stat line last Thursday at Redlands High School when he had a double-double with points and assists and no turnovers, and played solid defense all 4 quarters. 2 other seniors that have made a huge contribution for us in our big 3, the biggest of the 3. Jonathan Campbell, 6'8", also 3-year varsity starter, averages a double-double for us, 12 points and 11 rebounds. And then Jackson Lerma, who joined us last year as a junior, came over from Beaumont. He's our glue guy. Jackson's he averages 13 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists. And then another senior who doesn't get a lot of accolade, but he's the driver on our defense because at point of attack, he's a disruptive on-ball defender, and that's Jake Lane.
Well, Coach, you certainly have a good team this season, and it's good to see when you, like you said, sweat equity, when you put in the hard work and you have the results to see it. Beyond the CBL title, what's the goals now for this team? I know with this new playoff format, you don't know exactly what playoff division you might be in, but is this team feeling like, hey, we can stack together some wins in CIF and let's see where this takes us?
Yeah, that would be the natural next step. Any program, that qualifies for the playoffs wants to get a deep run. We really haven't allowed ourselves to look forward to that because we've still got unfinished business in the CBL. But the beauty in this is with our last game, regular season game being tomorrow, and the pairings won't be announced until Saturday. We've seen the recent rankings. We have, a little bit of an idea where we might fall out, but we'll have time to shift gears to prepare for that. We're healthy physically at this point. That's a good thing. And yeah, but not to evade your question, sure, we want to keep this going. And we've gone 2 playoff games deep as just last year, but we're hungry to try to do more.
Coach, one of your assistants, Coach Spolstra, was telling me that you played for Tom Izzo back in the day.
Yeah, this is a great story. And this is also going to show the age if you can't at the screen. I was a walk-on guard at Northern Michigan University after coming out of a high school program in Midland County, Coleman High School, where my father is a legend. He's in the Midland County Sports Hall of Fame. Ironically, my 89-year-old father, I talk to him multiple times a week, still my mentor. He's the guy that I look to for levity, for honest feedback. His best teams were in the early 1970s. And, I was a young boy at that time. But Pep, why do I bring this up? For frame of reference, I had my father as a coach. Then Glenn Brown was our head coach at Northern Michigan University, and Tom Izzo was a young assistant in his first and second year there. He was intense, but he was somebody that you migrated towards because I can't think of 2 times the whole school year, my freshman or sophomore year, where I was at Hedgecock Fieldhouse or I was walking by Hedgecock Fieldhouse that Coach Izzo's car wasn't parked there. Just a workaholic, loves the game of basketball, and I'm so happy for all the success that he's had in his career, but I'm not surprised by it.
Well, Coach Simpson, let me piggyback off that and ask you, your coaching influences or who has had an impact on your style of coaching. I mean, you just mentioned your dad, Coach Izzo. Is there anybody else that's kind of shaped who you are as a coach?
Well, somebody that you know very well, Bill Barich,
yeah.
the retired coach at Redlands East Valley.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here at Yucaipa if it wasn't for Bill Barich. because when I made the decision that I wanted to try to get back into high school coaching after having been away for a number of years, I applied at Yucaipa for a JV opening, and that position was filled by somebody who was more of a known commodity at the time. And Bill Barrich agreed to meet with me. He had a JV position that was open, and I was on Bill's staff for 5 years. He still to this day is a very good friend of mine. Mike Aranda, his son Ryan played for me.
Yeah.
Was a very good player. We had a lot of success over at Rev together. It was during that time that the varsity went to the CIF championship game against Compton. That was in the Honda Center. So there are great memories there. Those would be the guys that I would say that, I look up to, respect. And I've been going to coaching clinics since I was in my early 20s, many of those at my dad's side. And while you have to develop your own style, you're certainly going to, if you're open, learn from others and try to apply it. And this is where I got to give the players credit here. We're a defensive-minded basketball team. And what I'm very proud of, they wouldn't lead this in a comment if I wasn't standing over their shoulder. We allow 45 points per game. You're going to win a lot of games if you can hold your opponents to 45. And when you look at the first meeting against Cajon, it was a defensive battle because Randy's group really got after it on their home floor. And we won that one 43-42. So, I'm an advocate for defense wins championships, and these kids can lock in and defend.
And I think you held, Redlands to 19 the other night? Is that right?
Yeah, it was 18, and we set a goal before the basketball game. And again, you want to be sportsmanlike with this, but this is varsity basketball, and we know that Joey's got a young team over there, and I have a great respect for Joey. He's going to build that program. But we knew going in that if we were going to make a statement, we needed to put 4 quarters together of constant defensive pressure. And we allowed 2 free throws in the first quarter, 2 field goals in the second quarter, and everybody played in that first half. And then in the second half, everybody played, and we held them to 18. And it was a rewarding win for us.
Yeah, I like that low scoring, defensive battles. Just grind it out. Every possession matters. I love those kind of basketball games. Well, Coach Simpson, listen, thank you for hopping on the Inland Sports Show. Congratulations on the season so far, making some school history. Most wins in a season for Citrus Belt League title, but it sounds like for you guys, there's still a lot to play for. There's still a lot, on your plate as the CIF playoffs are coming up, looming around the corner. So thank you so much, Coach, for joining us here on the show. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Pep. Thanks for the coverage.
Inland Sports.